Hey everybody, I am so excited to be back today. Another day 2 of posting for the 21-day challenge. If you read the title, this is kind of an intro of how to plan and prepare for your 21-day challenge. I'm really excited to share this information. I have so many questions coming in. I'm really excited for the Q&A on Monday so I can go over those questions. I've been answering them one-on-one, but I know based on the content of those questions that a lot of people are going to have those same questions. So I'm looking forward to Q&A Monday and going over those with you. So I'm going to get started here. This is how I prepare for my 21-day challenge. And there's three reasons why I love 21-day challenges. I usually do them once, sometimes twice a year, depending on multiple factors. The first one is if my spending habits are getting out of control and I can tell it, then I will do a 21-day challenge. The other thing is I have inconsistent income. There are some months that are feast and there are other months that are famine, and it's just because of the industry I chose to be in, I guess, and I have to be aware of that. So if I know that a month is going to be a little, my income's going to be a little less, or I have to wait a few weeks for some of my paychecks to come in, then I will do a challenge then, just to make sure that there's no hiccups in paying bills and different things like that. So those are the two reasons why I might do a 21-day challenge. And the reason why I do that is, number one, is to evaluate true wants and needs, because it's amazing how easy our wants can shift into needs over time, especially as life changes. And you really need to know, are they true needs? Are they true wants? And where do they really lie? So, and then the other thing is to really do, after 21 days, you really know where those lie, your wants and your needs, but also you've created a habit. If you can go 21 days without spending on X item or whatever it might be, you've created that habit. And that's what's important. You know, you're always told that 21 days, it creates a habit. And so that's why we stick with that 21 days. It doesn't matter how long your spending freeze is. You can do 1 week, you can do a full month, you can do 21 days like we do. But just make sure that it's long enough so that you ensure that you kind of created that habit, and that's the goal of that. The other thing I really like is that it gives you a fresh start. After 21 days, you have enough time to kind of really clear out your account, other than maybe reoccurring bills that you know are going to go through, but you really have time to clear out your accounts and really have a good understanding of where to start. And so essentially it's a fresh start. And so that's what is exciting for me, is the fresh start, the clean slate, that you're really able to go. I like to do them January 1 so that it's a fresh start for the new year, but you can really do them anytime. So in order to start a 21-day spending freeze, I actually start with my cash envelopes. And yes, I use cash envelopes. These are my cash envelopes. I have 3 of them. One is for home, one is for business, and the other one is for my sinking funds. And so basically what I do is I pull out my cash envelopes. And no, I don't go through the money that's in it, but I go through all the categories and see which categories I might struggle with as far as where it might need to be spent. So dining out. I may have to spend some money in the dining out category simply because I have client meetings, and sometimes those client meetings are required to have a meal with them. Sometimes I have to take my clients, or not necessarily have to, that's probably the wrong word, due to the caliber of the account, I need to take that client out for dinner or something like that, for a presentation or to meet their partners, or it just, depending on what the situation is, there may need to be some dining out funds that are available in an emergency situation. So that's something that I really have to evaluate. I need to look over my schedule and see what I have coming on. It might be just enough for a couple of cups of coffee because I met them at Starbucks, but either way, I need to make sure that my business is covered. And so I go through my calendar and I evaluate what is set up. I'm generally 7 to 10 days out, already booked. If you're in business, that's something I highly recommend that you always do, is book yourself 7 to 10 days out so you know what's coming up, you know what's going on, and you can prepare for that. But 7 to 10 days out, I know what's going on, and I can usually anticipate the next couple of weeks. And so I know that if I need to have an extra $20 in there, that it's available. And the only option I have to use that is for client meetings. And so that's something that I sat down and I already did. The other item, and this is the big one, is the food, because I get that question all the time. What about food? Food does not last for 3 weeks. I get it. I totally get it, and I totally understand it. In fact, I'm going to do another video on how we meal plan during a 21-day spending freeze. But here's kind of a little preview. So I'm a Happy Planner girl. I've got probably, I don't know, right now I'm running 3 of them. I have a social media one, I have a fitness one, and then I have my catch-all. That's kind of a little bit of a Franklin plan one that brings in my MOB and multiple different facets. But basically, they have these little sheets. This is what I use. They have these little sheets for meal planning. They have different styles and things like that. I just happen to get these ones, I think, on clearance at Michael's. But what I do is I'll go through, and I go through my pantries and basically organize what I've got. I know what I have on hand. I do have a food storage. It's not a huge food storage because we live in an apartment, and number one, we don't have the room, and number two, I don't want to move it when we move out. Hopefully we'll be moving out in the next few months. But I don't want to move it. So I have a small food storage, and that's something that I can live off of for a little while, probably a couple of weeks. If I had to go exclusively on that. But basically I go and I write down everything that I have, and then I organize meals. And then I'll fill out for 3 weeks like this: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And this is what we're going to have. I know that I have everything. There might be a few things that are missing. And if those few things that are missing, like for example, I know that I've got to get another gallon of milk. So I put that on the list. I know that for tacos, I've got the meat and everything like that. And I'll show you my meat storage in that meal planning video, so don't miss out that. I might need a thing of salsa, or I might need maybe sour cream. But again, that comes into a want versus a need. So you kind of have to really come down and think things through and decide, is that really something that I have to have, or something that I want? And you also need to decide how strict you're going to be on that. But what I will do is I will make this plan out. I will decide what we're going to eat. I don't know if you can really see that. It's very generic as far as like soup. Well, I've got 2 options for soup. I've got soup bases in my freezer, but I also have canned soup in my food storage. So on soup night, we can pick either one of them. Soup base, all I got to do is either throw a meat, and it's already got vegetable. It might be meat and noodles into it, or it might be rice and something. Anyway, it's a matter of figuring out how much work I want to go to that night, or it might just be a can of soup out of the pantry. But I know that I've got that, and I've got it on stock. My goal is to use what I already have in the house and not spend any additional money. If I'm going to spend additional money, I'm going to spend it right now at a minimum. And I usually will set a goal to not go above. Like for example, right now my goal for the 3 weeks is not to go above $50. And people are like, oh my goodness, how do you ever do that? And I'll show you that. Watch my meal planning video. So anyway, and then I put that in each week of my planner, and I know what our meals. I'll also do a copy of it on the fridge so that there's no question what we're going to have. So that's how I do food. If for some reason I know, for example, milk, if that's the only thing I need, I might put $5 in the food envelope and go ahead and just go for milk, after the 13th. I think my bottle of milk right now that I have will last until February 13th. So I would just need to go and get a gallon of milk. If you are like me and impulse buy, I would not recommend that you do that. Another option could be if you need multiple items about the same time, is you could do either a pickup or a delivery. It does cost a little more to have it delivered, but if you're like me, it's so worth the extra cost. For me, it's not an extra cost. Actually, it has decreased how much I spend because I'm not impulse buying. I'm only buying exactly what is needed. So you really need to evaluate that. But something to look at for that, I will go and buy a gallon of milk before my freeze starts and the other items that I need, and I will actually put it in the freezer. You can freeze milk. I know a lot of people are weird about that, but you can freeze milk. That's why they have the dimples on the bottles and stuff like that, because they can go in the freezer. So other things to think about that you've got going on is gas. For us, gas is huge. We go through my husband, or not my husband, Courtney's car. I call him my husband, but he's not. How crazy is that? Courtney's car goes through, I dare say, a gallon, or it costs $60 to fill his car. He's got a Z370, really nice, fancy sports car that we love, but it's expensive. He goes through about a tank of gas a week, and it costs us $60. And I go through about a tank of gas a week as well, but I have a Chevy Cruze, and so I go a lot further. We tend to drive my car a lot more often, especially on spending freezes, so that we can save the additional money. And we drive my car at long distances as well. So my car is about $25 to $30 to fill, depending on how much gas is. And so I need to figure out how many times we're going to need to fill our gas tanks over the next 3 weeks. And then we will have that in this envelope, and that's all we'll have to spend. Gas is not something that we can just say, hey, I'm not going to buy any more gas. That's just one of those required need items. It's a required for business, and we just know that. We just don't do any additional driving like we don't do. There's a couple of lots that we want to build a house on that we tend to drive to a lot and check out the view and things like that, and compare and contrast and stuff like that. We won't be doing those kind of rides over the next year, the next 3 weeks. We will be doing those in 3 weeks when this is over. We are really going down to minimal driving over the next little bit, and the gas money will be separated out, and we'll know exactly how much we have. So there are other, obviously, bills and things like that. All of these are just regular bills. I'm just going through that, just kind of go through our Amazon Prime. We're actually going to cancel our Amazon. We're going to be weird and go TV-less for a little while. And so that's actually a bill that I can take off of my spending. I'll probably talk about that a little more on the wants versus needs video. Our mortgage payment, which is actually our rent payment right now, is there ready to go. That'll have to be spent in the middle, but obviously that's a requirement. And so those are all the items that we would need to spend during the snowball. The big thing is planning your gas, because that's something you're going to go through, and your food. Your regular bills that have to be paid, like, for example, our cell phone's going to automatically go through in the middle of all of this. My car payment, his car payment. We have a business loan that's going to go through. Those items are just naturally, they just naturally go through, and that's totally fine. It's just part of paying bills. What a spending freeze is, it is for your discretionary spending, which is food, gas, clothing, anything like that. I generally don't do clothing shopping. I'm an odd woman. I have I'll go through and buy a whole bunch of clothes at once, and that's my clothing for the year. And so I guess in some ways I'm lucky that way, but it's all that discretionary, that extra spending, if you can hold back for 3 weeks and then decide what you truly need to spend money on over the next 3 weeks. So that's how I get started. That's how I plan it out. You really need to look over your schedule, your calendar. Date night is another one that we normally spend a lot of money on. We're not spending any money. I didn't even look at that envelope. Actually, that's an envelope in here. I didn't look at that envelope because I know I'm not spending money there. And so I've got to figure out what we're going to do for those dates. And we've agreed that I'm going to plan one and he's going to plan one. And then the third one, we are going, which is Valentine's Day, which is kind of in the middle, actually. We're going to plan together. So it'll be an interesting 21 days. I'm looking forward to for you to see it, because there's a lot of things. My birthday is also right in the middle of that 21 days. My birthday is on the 10th. We have Valentine's Day on the 14th. And we're right in the middle of the spending freeze. So you're going to see a lot of really cool stuff. Let's see if we can pull it off. Courtney tends to be a little sneaky. I actually have stolen his cards this time around, so he can't be sneaky. And because my goal is to really pull this off properly, to show you that it really can be done. And I am looking forward to showing the results. Again, stay tuned for every Monday night we do Q&A. So leave your questions. and in the comments or DM me so that I can gather those up. I will answer you personally, obviously, but I obviously am going to put those on the live Q&As. And then I will do a midweek check-in and kind of let you know how things are going, where we're struggling, because we're used to pulling out that either that business card for business meals or whatever it might be, or just going out to eat on the way home, whatever it might be. We'll let you know kind of how things are sitting. And then meal planning, I'm going to go through every week with you and show you kind of how I look at that. And if I'm missing something, I forgot something, didn't include something, how I make adjustments for that. And then obviously we'll go over our dates because that's a big one. That's a lot of money that people spend. How to do a free date or an inexpensive date. I don't even think we're going to do inexpensive dates. I think I normally will have a gift card or something like that we're given. And so we kind of feel that gift cards are not spending, but I don't even think we have gift cards this time around. So we'll definitely have to get creative. So we're really looking forward to this. I hope that you are too. Make sure you hit subscribe if you're on YouTube or follow if you're on any of the other social media so you don't miss any of the updates. You guys have a great day and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.